longer. He's waiting back there. Come on in. Do we have enough chairs? What a wonderful problem to have, not enough chairs. I'd like to call this January the 7th, first of the year, first of the decade meeting of the 2020 City Council. So glad to see you all. At this point, I would invite Reverend Monty Nelson to come and deliver our invocation. If you all will please stand.
By the word invocation, we are calling God to come here. I've been observing the gathering, and I have observed enthusiasm. I've observed smiles and hugging and also some dissent. I think all of that is under the purview of God. And God, I believe, is already here. So let's pray that our eyes will be open to what is real. Let us pray. Loving God, we do thank you for your presence here. Give us grace to hear one another and to speak clearly. Give us grace to enjoy others' opinions and to speak opinions as opinions and to look for what is real. We ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Monty, and also please thank the Board of Trustees of the chapel for allowing us to meet here.
Glad to have you.
Thank you very much. Now we'll do our Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. That's you, and now here's where we become official. It's not too late to run out.
If you'll raise your right hands. I do solemnly affirm that I will truly perform the duties of mayor or council member of the city of Sky Valley, and that I will support and defend the charter thereof, as well as the Constitution and laws of the state of Georgia and of the United States.
I will.
I'm going to pass these out. If you can find yours, and sign it, and it'll be official.
You need us to sign these now?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and make it official.
Okay. I think we have enough witnesses.
I think we do.
We're going to begin our organizational meeting by nominating and selecting a 2020 council president. Council president is important because in the event that I am not in attendance, that I'm in the psychiatric hospital or whatever, this person can take over the council. Do I have any nominations for that position?
I'll nominate Bill Oliver.
All right.
Second the motion.
We've got Bill Oliver nominated and second. Any other nominations? Therefore, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
It is done. I'm sorry, Bill.
Too late to run out now.
That's right. Our next order of business is for the council members to vote on the proposed dates for our general meeting. In your counselor packet, you received a calendar of those dates. Do I have a motion to accept the calendar as written?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Second. Discussions? All right, all in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
So done. Our workshop dates do not have to be approved at this time. We will schedule them as needed. All right, now for approval of minutes from the public hearing held October the 17th and our special called council meeting held on the 24th. As in the council packet, you all received a copy of those minutes. Do I have a motion to approve these minutes?
I'll make a motion
Okay,
to approve.
a second?
Second.
Okay, do we have a discussion? All in favor of approving these minutes signify by saying aye. It is done. Okay. Am I on next? Adoption of agenda. Are there any changes to our current agenda? Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Signify aye by saying our agenda is good.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. What is our next business here? All right. Mayoral remarks. I'm so sorry. You all might want to run out now. First of all, I want to thank you all, the electorate, for giving me the definite privilege of representing the wonderful city of Sky Valley. It's a great honor to me, and I will do my best to live up to your vote. I take the responsibility seriously. While I was thinking about running, I read the charter. It's quite a nice document if you haven't read it before. It's not exactly a toe tapper, but you know, it was good. And in it, it said that the council serves as trustees and servants of the people of Sky Valley. And I take that seriously. In addition, let me read to you a little passage from the charter that tells us what we need to do and take care of. It defines our charge as we are to provide for execution of such ordinances, resolutions, rules, regulations for peace, good order, protection of life, protection of property, health, welfare, sanitation, comfort, convenience, prosperity, and well-being. My dear Sky Valleyans, that's quite a charge, isn't it? I take it, and I feel this council is ready to take that on. In addition, during the political arena, I thought it was important for us to protect our resources, which are varied and wonderful, to protect and enhance our uniqueness as a city, and we are very unique, y'all. To help our city be successful in the future by coming up together with our vision for where we want to see our city. Also, let me talk a little bit also about our resources, which our main resource that I think is so very important is the men and women who work for our city. They're fabulous. They work every day for us. Please give them a hand. I also would like to thank our policemen. They do a fabulous job. They are caring. They're responsible. They love our city and they act in a professional manner. I unfortunately was witness to a horrible incident recently where we had a tragic death in our community. And I watched Ron and David just do a fabulous job. Thank you, gentlemen, very much. I also want to thank all our volunteer firemen. I know we recently had a horrible house fire in Sky Valley, and they came and they did a wonderful job to extinguish the fire. And one of the residents that lived near this fire wanted me to express to you all how wonderful it was. They felt like it was very easily could have spread through the neighborhood and burned several fires. But y'all did a wonderful job. Thank you all very much. Speaking of resources, the gentlemen on both sides of me are are wonderful resources, and I look forward to working with them. They are knowledgeable, caring, and wonderful human beings on the most part. And so now I'm going to let them, now I'm going to let them speak. Take it, Bill.
Okay, thank you. You know, first of all, I want to thank all of you for allowing us and myself to serve. You know, we're all in this together for sure, and we're all here, I think, for a lot of the same reasons. We love the place, we love the natural beauty, we love the city services that have been provided, et cetera, et cetera. Look forward to working with everybody to, you know, help continue that and make improvements where improvements are needed. Also like to thank the previous council members that had served, the previous mayor. You know, this hard work, they worked hard, they had some successes, just like I'm sure we will. We'll also make some mistakes because nobody's perfect, that's for sure. But you can depend on us to admit when we made a mistake and fix it. So let's give the previous folks a hand. You know, now our task is to continue building on the successes of the past. You know, all this other stuff that's been going on is water under the bridge as far as I'm concerned. Let's look to the future, and let's make sure that we're doing what we need to do to move this community forward and ensure the prosperity and safety and the health of the community and all of the citizens that live here for sure. Also looking forward to any and all input. You know, it's the one thing I know for sure. We don't know as much as we think we do. The older we get, the better we used to be. So it's important that we get that input. I can tell you also from experience, and you guys can look this up on the internet, consensus with human beings is impossible. There's no way you can put a number of human beings together and get everybody to fully agree to everything. But the guiding principle there is whatever is right is right. And it may not be popular all the time, but we got to strive to do what's right and best. And once that's done, and once those decisions are made, the one thing we can agree on and be that is required is commitment to get it done. Not always agree, but commitment to actually get things done is what's required. So that's a guiding principle, I think, for all of us to keep in mind, and I'm sure the council members will agree with those comments. So, thank you very much.
Come, Jan.
Holly, as you mentioned reading over the charter, I remember the first time that I read over our city charter. And I was amazed at the authorities that were provided to our city government, our city council in this charter. Basically, it's the same things that Atlanta can do. Now, for most of our history, we've concentrated on roads and water and police and fire protection and collecting the garbage. Historically, we've been a resort community. At various points in time, we had a developer who took care of sort of the big picture issues, the marketing, what to build, what not to build, what aims we had in mind. We don't have that kind of developer today. There's a little bit of a void. Now, we've got a planning and zoning commission. We've always had smart people on our council. We are small, with a small staff. We don't have engineering expertise on staff. We don't have planning expertise. We have access to those things, but we have to go out and get them. So one of the challenges of moving into the future is how is our city government going to change to adapt to new challenges? And I think we're getting a taste of that today as we go through the agenda. But I just wanted to share that little perspective on our history, at least as far as I understand it. So, thank you.
Maybe.
Bill took everything, the words out of my mouth.
You go first?
I'm surrounded by these faces, and I look forward to working with them, and I want to thank the old council members that I worked with. They were a great help to me and were a good asset to the city. And I do look forward to working with you guys, and hopefully we're going to have a very good year.
Well, Moody, you're certainly my favorite since you said I had a new face.
I'd like to just echo and emphasize a little bit more what Bill referred to in terms of our past folks, council people and mayors. And it's interesting, as I was reading and trying to learn and understand the rules and also our charter, how many names I saw in there of past people that were involved. And it's not a very high-paying job. And so it's really, I think, a tribute to all of those who have served in the past and spent their time. One of my friends told me it would only take a few hours a month. I haven't even started yet, and believe me, it's going to take a little more than a few hours a month. But I'm looking forward to working with our mayor, our council people, our city administration, and most importantly, our citizens to try and continue to carry what we've achieved, I think, in this great city in these past years. Thank you.
And I have to agree with the comments and consensus of the previous council members' comments. I've lived in Sky Valley for 16 years and have helped out as much as I could. Last week, I announced my retirement from my company, and I look forward to working with this council to make the improvements and adjustments, and appreciate all your comments, and look forward to a strong 2020. Thank you.
I'd like to do a little unscientific experiment research right now. Could you, everybody in the peanut gallery, could you all stand for a minute? If you can.
Working on it.
I'm working.
Yay, Mom. All right, remain standing if you have been here 5 years or more. Remain standing if you've been here 10 years or more. Y'all, do your math, do your math.
Ownership or
Lived here. Or owned here. All right. Owned here. Remain standing if you have owned a house here or a condo for 15 years. Remain standing 20 years. Remain standing 25 years.
I think we,
26 years. 27 years. 28 years. 29. 30. How long have you been here, Maureen?
32.
32. One of my duties as mayor is to appoint committees, and I'm going to have a sage of Sky Valley committee, and you may be on it. Thank you. Speaking of our large salary, thank you, Ed. We're going to talk about, we need to select signatories for the city bank account, the people that can sign the checks. Pardon? What did I miss? What was for?
Number 10, my report.
You left out.
Oh, darn. You don't want to do it.
All this morning.
Thank you, Ella.
I will keep you in line.
Thank you. Take it, Ella.
I was just going to update everyone on a few items that I've been working on. I've met with Holly numerous times. We've gone over quite a few things. And I just wanted to update people on some things that I'm working on that are going to affect the community and reports that I have compiled. One thing I wanted to let you all know that I am in the process of working on placing out for bids, 2 of the police vehicles to replace the Subarus. We all know between the functionality and the repair bills on these vehicles that they do need to be replaced. Also, we have a used bucket truck in our budget for 2020 to replace the existing bucket, which will allow for additional trimming that now we're having to contract a lot of out. And if we get this truck, we'll be able to do a lot more in-house trimming. The next item I have on my list is Sky Valley Times. As you know, we've started doing this about 3 or 4 months ago. We'll continue to do this, and Holly has agreed that she's going to start putting a little blurb in it, and maybe council as well if they would like to add to it. So we will be sending that out once a month, and we'll continue to send it out with the monthly reports as we did this last week. The other item I have, you all I'm sure noticed that the culvert on Driver Lane was replaced. And the reason that was replaced is because I had been requested to have Public Works go out and look at the culverts that actually cross the roads, not the ones that are in the driveways, but doing an evaluation of those. And they were evaluated from 1 to 5. And in reviewing these, this was one that had to be replaced immediately. And when they got out there and started working on it, it was the total bottom of it was out and needed to be replaced. I'd like to thank my Public Works guys for working on that and getting that done in such a speedy way and getting it out so the road would not, stay closed for very long. And I want to thank them for that. Also, too, our city website redesign is underway. I plan to have the second review this week. She hopes to have some additional information. I've had one online review with her so far, and I'm really pleased with the results. I think it's going to be a big asset for Sky Valley because it is going to clean up a lot of the stuff that is on there now and going to make it a lot more user-friendly. The other thing is the leaf vac. We finally got the new leaf vac on December 23rd, and this has been a major asset to the city. It has really helped with leaf removal. We've had quite a few guys that have been out working on this, and when it's not raining, they can get out and use it and help get the leaves out of the ditches and on the edge of the roads. And one thing that I'm going to ask council to look at some point is possibly changing the location where people actually put their leaves, because this will make them easier to allow the leaf vac to come in and pick up the leaves. And I think this is something that would benefit not just the citizens, but the employees and the overall equipment. Also, another item is that we recently updated our backup system for our computers at City Hall. There's been some concerns as far as the backup system and also for security purposes, and make sure our ransomware is up to date, that we don't have to worry about somebody getting into our computers, locking us out and, requiring a ransom. We don't want to be in that situation. I've seen that happen firsthand. Also, too, you all know that the 2020 census is getting started. I have attended one meeting, and we have another meeting later this month, and I'll keep you all up to date. There will be opportunities. We will start sending out emails on this because you'll have the opportunity this year to do it online, which is going to simplify it. You can do it online. You can be done with it. You still can do the paper if you're just dead set on doing the paper, but that is the last step to doing it. And they also, if you don't complete it, they will come knock at your door and say, we need this information. So if you can just do it online, once we start sending this out in March, we'll make sure we get email blast out to everyone and they know what is going on and what to expect when it gets started. Also, another item is our previous mayor and council had approved for us to sell some of the surplus equipment that we have, and we have made $9,621 from the equipment that was just sitting there not being utilized. So I think that's a great thing for the city of Sky Valley. Also, we have been approved for a GMA safety grant. We anticipate getting $5,883 from this grant. And then what this does is anything that we can use for safety equipment, we earmark it for that, and then we can turn it in for this grant. And this is money that is offered through Georgia Municipal Association. And it's something I think we need to strive to continue to reach out to get any grant money that we can. And we're working on that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now back
Madam
to,
Mayor,
yes. Yes, sir.
I understand that we had our codification project.
Yes.
Can we have an update on
Yes.
that?
Yes, we can. I'm waiting for Doug to finish his final review, and once he gets that final review done, then we can move forward with that, because they're just waiting on that for
Okay.
his
good.
comments.
Thank you.
And I think we had brought this up during our meeting we had a few weeks ago. The review that they've done is fine. You can go ahead and tell them
Okay.
it's fine.
I have not been made aware of that.
Okay,
Okay.
you haven't, I'm telling you
Okay.
that. And then, if we could put it on the agenda for next month, I had discussed with y'all, there are some things that we had never had in our ordinances, and it became clear once we codified it. And so I want to kind of raise some issues that maybe y'all may want to look into adopting certain ordinances or not, and then we can discuss it more full next month.
We're talking about a February work session, so that would probably be a good idea then.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anything else? Okay, now for a motion for the gentleman that I would like to ask to be able to sign the checks, and that would be Ed Morley and Bill Oliver. Do I have a motion for that?
Can I also add that we need to add a couple of checking accounts to this?
Yes,
We need to add
that would be great.
Slots account and also the marketing account.
Yes.
At this time, so we do it all at once. If we could add those two accounts, I would.
Do you want to add that to the motion?
Yes, please.
Okay,
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Holly,
Second.
that,
second, any discussion
Any further discussion?
or further discussion? Or another comment? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, so good. All right, now it is it Karen or Ella next?
It doesn't matter, I'll go ahead and do it. What this is qualifying fees for the 2020 general election. As you know, we do not handle the elections anymore, the county does it, but we still have to establish these fees, and they're $15 as they have always been. We just have to get council approval. With this, we can send it to Tammy, and she will get the ad out in the paper that we've set this and can move forward with this. So
Okay,
we
do I
just
have
need
a motion?
Approving.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
discussion? Say aye.
Aye.
Great. Moody, please tell the story you told me yesterday about why we only do 2 years here as far as our term limits.
This is not to offend anybody, but years ago, the state recommended that municipalities go to 4-year elections unless there was some compelling reason why they shouldn't. And I forget who the mayor was at the time, but he wrote back and said, the age of our population, we don't even buy green bananas, much less. So we stayed.
Do you think we need an ordinance that says that?
Was that AW?
It was about that time. It could very well
Yeah.
be.
So every time you get a banana, think of us. Override, yeah. All right, Ella?
Okay, the next item on our agenda is to consider approval of the statewide mutual aid and assistance agreement. In this packet, we have a copy of the new agreement. This is the same agreement that we normally have. This just allows us to get assistance in any natural or unknown disasters that we may occur. And we just request that council continue to make this, approve this mutual aid agreement.
And I looked it over, I didn't see any problems with it.
Good.
I saw a requirement in there that we need to develop a set of policies.
They are already established. We
Okay.
already have that. We have a
Okay.
booklet that's about that big, that the county and the local municipalities met over, about 3 years ago and had everything set up for this, so everything is
Okay.
already established.
I'm glad you had that question. Could you be in charge of that? Thank you, Jim.
All updates.
I did notice that The mayor's role in that effort was undefined, that,
Good.
you know. I noticed the city clerk, the city manager's name on it, but
You got
I
the
didn't see
special report.
that the mayor,
She's at the
Decided.
front entrance with the red vest directing traffic. Yes, yes, Bill.
Well, I read that, it's a 4-year agreement,
It is a 3-year agreement.
it's a 3-year
Yes, sir.
agreement. Because the term that I read in the one you sent, it looked like it was a 4-year renewal.
No, I think what happened is because he brought it in 19, and because it actually starts in 2020,
Okay, all right, thank you.
that's what it is.
Any other comments or questions? Do I hear a motion?
just to say that,
Oh.
you know, I'm not worried about civil insurrection or terrorist activity, but natural disasters,
Yeah, that's
most
important.
importantly, probably forest fire, since we're adjacent to the national forest, seems to me to be the major reason that we would be interested in that. And if an emergency happens and we need aid, I sure would like for us to be a part of that system.
Me too, me too. All right. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, Ella?
Okay, the next item is consider awarding bid for landscaping services. As you have noted, I have given you an updated bid tab sheet. I had to reject one of the previous bidders because he gave me an incomplete bid and he would not respond to my request for additional information, so I had to strike him. The second one is Mark Watermaker. I am, as low bidder, I am suggesting that we approve his bid because the other item was about $5,000 more with the same services, and actually not quite as much as Mark, because Mark is willing to work with us and will actually include grass cutting with his bid. I recommend that
So
we
we'll put it
award
what?
this to
Grass
Mark
cutting.
as the low bidder.
Bill?
You know, but I just have a concern because these aren't apples to apples bids.
Yeah.
And
Well, some of them didn't want to do the individuals, but they said they still would do the same items. Like for instance, there were some things that have come up. Also, Mark had included, the post office, because the guys have been doing it anyway, that he said if he's cutting grass, he can go by and cut that grass just as easy and not charge us anymore. I mean, because his $29.35 includes grass cutting in all 3 areas. Also too, some of them are saying that with some of these items on here, they feel like that they won't charge us any additional money. That's why they did not add additional item fees on there.
okay, so that would all have to be properly lined out in the contract.
What we
service
would do,
agreement.
yeah, so what we normally do with these type contracts, and Doug can definitely chime in with this, what you do is you set up a maximum amount in these, that once they exceed this amount, we know what we have budgeted, we know what his bid is. Now, if we get to some items and we feel like there's something that comes up that we're not aware of, we take that out of the total, and that way we're covered and he's covered as well, because he also has to provide, and he had included with his information, he gave me his insurance, so we have to make sure that they are
Workers'
insured.
comp, yeah.
Yeah, their workers' comp
Liability.
and their liability, yes, sir, so we'll just make sure we're doing that. We normally just do we can just do like a little one-page agreement for him, the landscapers, you know, and not to exceed amount, we're usually good. And Mark is local, and that's another, you know, Mark and I wrote out and looked at it, I wrote out and looked at it with the others as well. I just, you know, Mark was willing to do a little bit more for a lot less, because he says he's here, which makes sense.
Yeah, well, there's no response for the additional city hall. I know a few years ago, that was dressed out, it looks real nice. Whose responsibility would it? is that gonna be
That's
the
what
city?
these items are, these additional items are additional city hall items.
Okay.
That's why, that's just a header there for that additional
Gotcha.
work, yes, sir.
Madam Mayor, I know you were working to establish an advisory committee
Yes, sir.
for this. Would it be prudent to have some input on that? Make sure that those recommendations might get added to the bid or clearly outlined in whatever agreement?
Yes, I've asked 3 of our wonderful ladies who are certified master gardeners and also members of the Sky Valley Garden Club to participate with the landscaper, meet with the landscaper on a regular basis to help plan what we're doing. And the 3 ladies are Cheryl Beckert, Debbie Dahlhouse Curtis, and Sarah Mack Germano, and they all heartily agreed to do it. One of them suggested that we talked about soil conditions, that was part of the landscaping thing. So, yes.
Yeah, and my last comment, I'm sorry, is,
That's okay.
you know, because curb appeal is so important, right? And if you were operating any business, that curb appeal extends through all the seasons, not just
Correct.
the growing season. So the only thing that I would ask is that we try to make sure that in the winter, it's very appealing, right? That whatever gets planted survives, has some color, et cetera. So it looks good in the winter, and then in the growing season, it should look spectacular.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, we want to make sure that we're spending the appropriate amount of money to do this, but a prudent amount of money, not necessarily anything over the budget.
Right, and these bids do include a minimum of 16 visits to these locations, a minimum of that. They do include that, and I did that according to the timeline. Like this time of the year, we don't do a whole lot. You know, we don't, because nothing's going to go or with it pretty much. So.
And color can be added though. And I'm sure our master gardeners can help, you know, design what that should look like.
Yeah, and that's why we're hiring, that's why we want someone to come in and do this, that's right. That's why we want to bid out the services.
Any
May I
other?
comment?
Go right ahead.
Some of you may be familiar with Mark Wanamaker. I'm not. Could you, what kind of references have you checked to see how
well,
he's done with some other areas?
Yes, sir.
Particularly in the landscaping area?
Yes, sir, I've talked to Mark. Mark does quite a bit of work, and he does a number of the commercial businesses downtown. He does a lot of them on 441, and the appearance of those have been spectacular. I went by and checked them, so yes, they are, I have checked on that.
And I'm assuming there's gonna be a 30-day out cancel in this agreement.
Oh, always.
Okay, good.
We'll get Doug.
So if we're not happy, we can make a change.
Oh, right. We'll make sure that Doug includes that. I'll send it to you all before we sign anything. Once you all, you know, give us the okay, we'll move forward with that.
I guess the other question I might have is the mowing, if he's only going to do mowing 16 times a year, or we supplement that, how will we manage that? 'Cause obviously-
If we find out it's needed more, he said he'd do it, not charge us, because he's gonna be here anyway. Like I said, he's here all the time. I don't know how many homes he has here in Sky Valley that he maintains, but he's up here a lot, every week pretty much, even this time of the year.
Does anybody here use him?
Yeah.
Is it a good guy?
He is.
Yeah, he told us when we signed up with him, he had about 150 customers out here at Sky Valley.
Bill, he is superb, but for our line, he does it probably 30 visits a year. I would question whether or not 16 is fair to Mark to have that in there. Yeah.
Okay, so we got good references. Thank you all.
By the way, if you raised your hand, you're on the landscaping committee. Mr. Smith.
No, we use Mr. Rickman. Mr. Rickman, he's an expert.
Thank you very much. Any other comments, gentlemen? Great comments. Do I hear a motion for us to go forward with this?
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And I look forward to us being beautiful soon. Now we need to consider a resolution to adopt the 2019 Raven County Joint Comprehensive Plan. which is in effect from 2019 to 2014. It is renewed and edited every 5 years. This is the state plan. Our previous council went through all the steps to produce this document. You all, as citizens, were asked to participate in a digital survey. I hope you did. Also, they had a meeting with the gentleman from the state to come in, and we got to voice our concerns and what we thought we needed as a community. That happened also. This plan helps us look at what our assets are, what our weaknesses as a community are, and helps us plan where we need to go from now. Do I have a motion to accept this comprehensive plan?
Is
Madam
that
Mayor,
your
would it be
recommendation?
out of order to offer an alternate motion that we consider this at our workshop? And the reason I suggest this is that I believe in planning. It's an important guide for the community. I believe in the process that we went through. My concern is entirely with the draft that we received. It's basically 2 pages, and it talks a little bit about Sky Valley. I found typos in it. I found what I consider to be a contradiction in it, and I have not seen anything but the original draft. So I haven't seen the final to see if any of this was caught and corrected. And
Did we send out the draft that was redone?
I thought I did.
Yeah.
I thought I had sent it out. I may have sent it out to previous council, but the reason we need to get this resolution approved because they have to submit it to the state, and the state is not gonna grant us our, status, our government status, until we submit this resolution. So if we hold this up, that means we're holding up any capability to get any additional grant funds that we've already applied for.
Doug, what is your suggestion on this?
I haven't read the plan, so I don't know. What did you see, Jim?
in particular, it had to do with retail development in Sky Valley. I think there was a clear statement that we are a residential community. And got the impression that whatever anyone suggested sort of got into the plan. Now, I'm not sure that's how it worked, but
But that
That was
was why the
certainly my
public
impression.
comments were received, was for that reason, and anything that is correct, because when
Yeah.
people were here at the meeting, they made comments, and that was what was included in his plan when he drew it up for us and submitted it to the state with the reviews that I know you as a council member had already seen, if not once, if not twice, possibly 3 times, so.
yeah. My specific concerns are that it's an official document, and to the extent that anyone in the future goes by what's in it and we don't like it, then we have a difficult time confronting their lawyers who say this was in the plan for the area and therefore we put it in.
Okay, as it states, it is a plan, which doesn't mean that anything is in there is set in stone. I think you're
That's my question.
misinterpreting,
That's correct, 'cause
misinterpreting that. It is
there was
not
a-
set in stone.
There was a
Because-
report from all of the other communities, what was
Right.
done, what wasn't done,
Right,
et cetera,
Right,
so
right.
it's not, wasn't a requirement.
right, it's not, it's just like each year when we get ready to do this, we had to go through, I went through the last one that we submitted, and I had to put in there, I had to update the status on the, requests that were made, if there had been any follow-up, if they had been done, what type of funds were used, if we did any of them. But just because they're in there does not mean it's going to happen. It's
Right.
just a recommendation, it is a plan, it is a guidance. And it's not just for Sky Valley, because everybody in Raven County is included in this.
Well, we have 2 pages that are specifically designated for Sky Valley, and these 2 pages are different from the 2 pages for all the other municipalities.
And they should
And
be,
this is directed
because
towards
we're different.
the future, you know. I'm not concerned about what people have done and how it's done. I'm concerned about what's the history of new construction of commercial properties in our area. Typically, somebody builds the facility, they run it for a few years, and then it changes use. And maybe the second guy, who doesn't have as much invested in it, can make a go of it at that location. I'm not interested in having, you know, derelict buildings in downtown Sky Valley. Now, if we wanted to put in something that would modify this, that, you know, some of the larger cities and counties require that feasibility studies be filed with requests for construction to show that these things make sense for the community and commercially.
Well,
All I'm asking for is that we actually see what the final thing is and talk about it. I mean, you may not agree that there are deficiencies in it, and that's fine. But I think it's important enough that we discuss it.
Bill.
They need it now. They need
Is
it
there a
now
new
to
date?
move forward. Yeah, they're waiting on us, some of the other cities are adopting these, are approving these resolutions because it's already been submitted to DCA. DCA does not give final approval until everyone's submitted their resolutions where they have adopted it.
Can we just distribute that report, come back next week, and have a call meeting and adopt it?
We could?
You willing to do that, gentlemen?
I am.
Yes.
Yep. All right, we'll do that. Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So you want to have a special call meeting, I need a date and time then to set that meeting.
Or do we want to do this in one workshop?
If you can't
Well, I
wait on
think
it
she
in
wants to do
workshop,
it quick.
I've got to have this approved.
So you will send us the draft as it is written now, then we will have a call meeting. What date is going
Let me just ask a couple of questions though, because this has been being developed over what, the last 2-3 months?
Oh, it's been going on for 6 months.
And there's
at
been
all.
public requests for input.
Yeah.
And so isn't it a little late in the ballgame for us to be
No,
requesting more
absolutely not.
input?
I have no problem with the input. I have a problem with the compilation and the final edits of the document, which didn't particularly look edited to me.
How do y'all feel about it?
I'm willing to come to another meeting, I mean, we're just not good.
And just because it's in the plan doesn't mean, as Ella says, that we have to do it.
Oh, absolutely not. You're
I
right.
mean, you
Yes.
want to put some things that you may not even consider. You want to have things in there for what if something happens?
Yeah.
What if, you know, we get a boom in real estate up here and somebody wants to come in and do something here? Well, you don't have this set up to be able to do this. You know, you have to make sure you prepare for the
It's
future
open.
because it is a 5-year document.
Y'all willing to come next week?
Yeah, we need to read it.
Okay. We'll come up with a date for it.
Okay.
All right, thank you, thank you. All right, now comes, where are we? The public forum and general comments. We are going to follow the city charter and the ordinance that delineates how we are to run the public forum. If you all will look at your agenda, if you got one, it says public forum and general comments. Any person with business before the council not scheduled on the agenda as a public hearing may speak to the council for a maximum of 5 minutes. The speaker must identify by name, address before speaking. And of course, we cannot take formal action, but we want to listen to our citizens. Do I have anybody who wishes to speak? Yes, ma'am.
Jan Mason, 38 Pleasant Mountain Drive. I'm new to Georgia, but I'm not new to Florida comprehensive plans. And if they're the same, and I assume they are, they can be amended at any time. There's a process for amending, and they can be amended. They are amended all the time. So, you know, if you don't have it exactly like you wanted and you see something later, you can always amend it, if that's the case in Georgia, I
Is
don't
that the
know.
case?
That is the case in
Okay.
Georgia too, you can amend it.
Thank you, Ms. Mason.
You're welcome.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sorry. I'm Carla Stahl, 74 Red Wolf Trail. I just want to say, yay, I'm happy to see everybody up there. Also, I'm confused as to how a citizen does get something on the agenda. So that's one question I would like to clarify. And secondly, I know I've spoken to you about this, Holly, I also spoke to Ed about it. One of the key things that we have to do in this community is work on supplying better internet services to our entire community. I work from home. When we retire in 2 to 3 years and plan to spend much more time here, my husband will continue to work from home. It's what we have now is sufficient for getting a movie occasionally, depending on whether, also, you know, a book or whatever. But if you're trying to upload and download large files, which is what's involved in my business, photos, videos, etc., it's glacially slow where I live. Now, Ed was telling me he has better speed at the condos. I haven't spoken to Windstream about that, but within the next 20 years, this community will turn over again. We have a lot of people who will unfortunately, you know, not be able to live here anymore, age out, etc. And the only way we're going to get, including myself, okay? But I'm saying when we, in order to get and consider, have people of the ages we want to purchase our homes to keep the community going that we all love, we're going to need better services because they're used to it and they won't, if they have a choice between a community with good services and those with slower stuff, it'll make a difference in the price and also the decision as to where.
Thank you very much, and that is in the comprehensive plan.
Okay.
I agree. Thank you,
Along with trying to get AT&T on the towers here.
ma'am. You want to talk?
Well, I was just gonna add, I think another thing we need in the community is, we've got Verizon up here now, let's see what we can do to get AT&T attached to one of these towers.
Thank you.
Anybody?
Anybody else? Yes.
If I can get up.
You don't have to get up.
Let me get up very easily. Neil Howard, 229 Pleasant Mountain Drive. I have no business to discuss with the council, but I have a comment. When I ran for council the last 2 times, I emphasized workshops. I want to emphasize that again to this council. It's kind of fallen by the wayside with certain excuses like we have nothing to talk about, there's nothing on the agenda. I'm telling, my reason for wanting workshops, when I ran earlier and encouraged that we do that, and we did them some, is that the more the community and the council can discuss in an unofficial way, the better our future will be. And the more open and understanding we will have as a community. And in my opinion, if you don't have anything on the agenda, then you definitely need a workshop. You definitely need a workshop because there's things out there and there's things that need to be discussed. And I will speak this message and as emphatically as I can to support that position. And I thank you for listening to my continued suggestions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Kathy Turner, 259 Cobblewood. Can we have a city cleanup again because from Bald Mountain down to the junction is awful on both sides. It only take 30 minutes, we all get down there and do it. And also from the junction down to the state line in Cole, North Carolina, on both sides, beer cans everywhere. It's just awful looking. That's the entrance to our living.
Sure, y'all want to do it, we'll schedule it.
Yeah.
And even, we were talking about this yesterday, coming up 246, it's a consistent amount of trash on both sides. Now, that's state of Georgia,
Yes, sir.
and, you know, if you could help us see who we need to talk to see if they can make that a regular occurrence. Because there's people, you know, contractors going up and down 246 from Clayton
Yeah, that's
to
what
Highlands.
Yosemite is, I get that a lot in the morning.
Yes, we do.
Stay up.
Except going under the trucks.
Yes, Helen?
Good morning, I'm Helen Clyburn, 68 Chimney Peak. The first item of business I think that y'all approved today was the schedule and calendar for the year, but you never did say what it is, and I wondered if you could tell us the plans for the regular meetings.
There's a couple of months that don't fit the pattern of the third.
Right,
The
the
third-
first, the third and fourth, so we moved a couple of them around. Once we get this changed to approved, we'll, like we normally do, we'll send this out to everyone. And we'll make sure that it's posted on the new website. And as a FYI, we will not be posting anything to the old website as we are in transition. If you have questions about anything or want copies, please notify the office because we don't want to keep loading up the existing website to transfer it to the new one.
I think we tentatively scheduled the workshops for the third Tuesday and the council meetings the fourth Tuesday of each month, but there's a couple of months that it didn't work out, so.
Right.
But we'll get that to you. Thank you.
Hello, are you implying we don't have a website right now?
We do have a
But
website.
it's not up to date? and
It
it's
is not
gonna
up
be
to,
kept
well, no, sir, it is not up to date, and like I said, as of January 1st, we're not adding anything to it because we are in the process of getting the new one going. And if you have questions, you can always contact City Hall.
Would you send out a notice of how to access the new website?
It's not up yet, we're still working on it, that's what I was talking about in my report.
Well, that brings up a question, is when do we expect that to be live?
Hopefully next month is what we're shooting for, by the end of February. I'd say being realistic, it may be mid-March. Because you know how
Can we
this program is
set an
started.
aggressive
Yes, sir, we
date
try.
with them, an
Yes, sir, we
expectation?
have.
Not
She
hope
hopes
for
to
it,
be,
but
yeah.
hold them to it.
Yeah, we will, because our contract has a certain timeline that they're supposed to complete it.
And the codification will be a part of that.
Yes, sir, it will be updated,
Yes.
right.
Thank you.
Police Chief Estes, do you have a microphone? You can go through the streets and announce the date for us. Would you mind?
We got that speakerphone.
Speakerphone.
We can put that in the Sky Valley Times.
Yes, we can. Yes, Ms. Green?
I'm Pam Green, 418 Rebel Circle. I may be totally out of touch, but I'm wondering, do we have a scheduled, excuse me,
Don't cough on me.
do we have a road repaving schedule going on? I've been told over the years, like years ago, that we were next in line. We've gotten a few little holes patched, but
We have
when you drive
discussed,
into Rebel Circle, it looks like, and we're, you know, one of the places you pass, and it's just cracked completely away.
okay, great question.
That is one of our next roads. James and I have went out and looked at it as far as priority list. I'm in the process of updating the priority list, and I just confirmed with James, your road is one of my next ones.
There are some very dangerous spots on that road
Yes.
where it just falls off.
Yes, yeah, I believe it's Rebel and Alex Mountain is what we proposed to the next one.
We are working, Ella's working diligently on a 5-year plan, and we will get that out very quickly.
And we've submitted the LMIG application.
Yes, it has been
For
submitted.
GDOT's grant.
Yes,
to
it
help
was
with that.
submitted.
Good.
Yes,
And that's what's holding up, until we get this comp plan, they're not gonna release our status. And we're gonna be the only one that's gonna hold up the entire county.
We're talking about the comprehensive plan. Okay. We'll get that in the works quickly. Any other comments or questions? Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
may I respond to a couple of citizen comments?
I don't know, we'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye. No, go ahead.
I'd like to endorse, of course, the suggestion about internet
Yeah, me too.
upgrading, because that's one of the trends, the national trends that is working in Sky Valley's favor for the future. More and more people are becoming able to live and work in the best places to live. And I think we all agree that Sky Valley is one of the best places around to live. And if we can improve our internet so that people can make a better living, have a better retirement here, then that's only gonna make things better. It's gonna be easier to sell our houses, more people coming in, new blood, hey, great stuff. Secondly, I just want to mention that over the years, before I ever considered serving on council, I had two role models. One was the late David Watley, and the other is our beloved Neil Howard. And I just want to thank Neil for all the great advice and guidance and support that he's given me while I've been here, and even before when I was thinking about it. So thank you, Neil. You're one of the giants. Thank you.
Bob.
Yeah, I'm Bob Larson, and I was wondering, I read a lot about this 5G, and if we could, it sounds like it's 100 times as fast as anything we have now. And I just wonder if we have somebody to talk to Windstream about this 5G, that.
Well, we already have, Windstream already has 5G, but the internet and the speed is two totally different things.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with your speed, so.
That's your phone.
Better equipment.
Or your capacity.
Right.
What leverage can we bring to influence a company to give us the service we desire? We need to think and work on that.
If you remember, several years ago, we didn't have any service. And so it took a good while and a number of people and a lot of trying to figure out who the right people are. And I know one individual's done some work on that with AT&T, but you gotta be persistent. You gotta be the squeaky wheel. So we're gonna try to recruit some folks to help us do that.
Yes, Mike.
It just occurred to me while I was sitting there and talking about planning.
Who are you?
Mike Collins.
Where do you live?
Where do you live? Where do you live?
The loser to Holly Steele in the mayor's office. And I commend her for running a great meeting today, so I'm glad she's got the job. But in the plan, have we given any thought to the process of building up Sky Valley in terms of homes, and whether we're going to put any limits on the number of building permits for homes that we can have at one time? Because, when we start getting lots of contractors and we get growing, we're trying to grow the valley, we're going to get more and more people wanting to come up here. And when we start constructing houses, we can't do 20 at a time. Our roads don't manage that. I mean, we have contractors and big trucks running around all over. Have we given any thought to managing that process? You understand what I'm saying?
I do, and it's a wonderful problem to have.
Yeah, it is a wonderful problem, but we need to manage it, I think.
We do.
Our zoning stuff is about this thick, I started reading.
Yeah.
Is that covered in our existing planning?
There are no limits as of right now. That would be something that the council would need to issue a moratorium on as of.
And we're
a certain
developing
number.
a planning and zoning committee.
Okay.
There would have to be a moratorium.
And you can be on it, Mike.
I'll be-
Great, great. That is important, very important. Please, Chief, I saw your hand up.
I was just gonna say, we live on Alex Mountain, and what we recently got, we dropped Windstream because of unreliability. My wife's a realtor, and our internet would go down for like 10 days at a time. True Vista has ran fiber optic on Alex Mountain, and they said that a lot of the roads in Sky Valley has fiber optic already. So if you're having difficulty, I would say inquire. Your road may be covered. And it doubled the speed that we have with Windstream.
Yes.
If that's an option.
I was told they stopped at the box on the corner of Knob and Bayberry, which is where I live.
I'm on the opposite end, so
Yeah.
that's possible.
Yes, Jan?
We have True Vista, and I can vouch for that. Steve checks the speed all the time. He's like, it's entertainment. But it works so much better than Windstream ever did. It hardly ever goes down.
And they have more, higher speeds than they.
Oh, yeah,
do.
it's,
Thank you, Jan. Lynn?
Yeah, quickly, Lynn Becker, down in 70 Downing Street. I have Windstream, I had trouble too, but I want to just give you a hint of what I've had that's a little encouraging for my house at least. I had 12 megahertz of speed, which is pretty decent. Moved to Downing Street, I had 5. And they explained to me that they had they didn't have the cables run far enough and at the end of it all. They would have it someday, but they couldn't tell me when. Well, I've had troubles with them, and I've heard from the horse's mouth that I can call them today and I can get the higher speed, that they have completed their renovations or extensions for that area, the little orange flags that say Windstream along the driveway, thinking maybe something's going to happen there. Anyway, so I'm going to find out that. Also, I questioned them about the foreclosure situation we've all probably heard about with Windstream, and they said yes, but they are reorganizing the whole company and renaming it and offering new services soon. So there's just a little hint, that there may be some improvement.
Thank you, Lynn. Bob, did you need to say anything about the marketing committee?
Other than after our meeting, for anybody who here wants to know, we're establishing a new marketing committee that's based on several key elements within Sky Valley, like timeshare and the country club, and of course the town council and the POA and the garden club. And we're going to have a workshop in February for those that are invited now. The marketing committee is not going to be democratic in that everyone can show up and can you come and give your opinion? Yes. But we're going to run the marketing committee like it's a business so that we can establish what goals we want to achieve for the community, how to best reach the target markets. So for example, people say, well, we need to have younger people in Sky Valley. Okay, that's something I used to tell my students you can make up on a bus on the way into school. Okay, we have to be specific about it. Who is likely to come? Who's likely to come are people that are just like us.
Bob, could you speak a little louder? People in the back said they cannot hear your pearls of wisdom.
They can't hear me? You're going to be sorry you said that. Do we want younger people do we need younger people in Sky Valley? Yes. But we're not going to get, in my opinion, we're not going to get the 35-year-olds, the 40-year-olds, the families with kids in the house, because who's going to move up here, maybe not be able to work, and put their kids on a 2-hour bus ride to school every day? What we're more likely to get is our primary target market, which are people like us, and maybe the ones that are just younger than us. Their kids may be out of the house, they may be off to college. It's kind of like my wife and I, although I'm a little older than what I'm expecting here. We decided we were going to retire, or we wanted a vacation home. And we went out and did that, and it took 2 years for us to get here. And the age group is probably going to be younger. It may be in the 50s. It's not going to be primarily in the 40s. Now, I'm not saying you're not going to get some people like that, but we have to be specific about
who is likely to come, because other than that, we're wasting the money and the means, and we don't wanna do that. So, there'll be more communication to the appropriate parties that need to come, and then I guess wherever we post other meetings, we can post, so if people wanna come and give your opinion, okay? But it's not a democratic process. Because as Bill said, what's right may not necessarily be popular, and what everybody wants may not be the right thing to do. So, that's where we are in this.
Bob, I think the big deliverable is process, the structure, how that's going to work.
Yeah.
And that,
You'll have
committed
something,
that
you'll
in
have some, you
February.
folks will have something from me by next week.
Okay.
And then the people that we are expecting to be part of it, same deal.
Good.
That may not be, you know, if you guys wanna post that, that's fine.
All right, all together we say, all hail Bob O'Keefe.
Oh.
All hail Bob O'Keefe.
I tell people, I sing a little bit in church, and I tell people, if you don't like what you got, remember what you paid for. So that may be true too for our marketing committee. If you like what I do, that's good. If you don't like it, you got what you paid for.
That'll be a post, a little sticker for our cars for the council, won't it? Mike Collins, did you want to give us a report about the Water and Sewer Authority? He is on the board.
All I want to say is every month when I go to the meeting, all they're interested in is, we had a plan, was we paid for, Sky Valley did, for developing sewers for our high Moody's, where the high density areas, the septic tanks overflow, and they're worried about the water going into the lake and then ultimately into water streams around here. So we have a plan, and at some point we have to decide whether or not, I think we should try and decide whether or not that's in our future, that we want to do it. It's a very, I told Holly about it, the plan did call for sewers for those places. We had to pump the sewer stuff down to Dillard or ultimately to Clayton. And that's a very expensive process, as you might imagine. $5 million was the starting price on this thing. So, you know, we can, I think we could take it on incrementally, but that's something that we may have to consider in the future because of our water resources are fairly critical up here. And if the high density areas, if we keep building, we're gonna have to think about that. You know, we can't, this is not to put sewers for everybody in Sky Valley. It's only to do it for the high density areas that we have. So, but they ask me, what's going on, and I always say, well, we haven't really addressed it yet.
Yeah.
And so I'll keep using that. And by the way, I was appointed by the last group to replace Ray Becker, and so you guys are perfectly free to replace me anytime you want, but I don't mind doing it. It's a good group of people to work with down there, and so I try and represent Sky Valley as best I can.
I think it would be good for our representative to be part of the Planning and Zoning Committee, obviously.
Okay, I'll do that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you
I
very much.
barely have some time free, but, you know,
Yeah.
especially in the winter when golf isn't available.
Any other comments? Thank you all so much for coming. I hope you all come to all our meetings because your input is invaluable, which includes workshops. Some wonderful ladies have provided us with some refreshments. I hope you stay and enjoy them. Yeah, I will. Let's go. I had to talk first, Ella. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? All right, go grab the food, y'all. Thursday, 9 o'clock.